Hey y'all, Ty here. Let me know if you can hear me okay. We're going to start in a couple minutes.
This AI tool will create a stunning ebook direct from your content, whether it's a Microsoft Word document.
Hi friends, how's it going? My name is Mike. This channel is Health and Wealth. You're here.
Hey guys, how's it going? I think I was just talking for a good 10 seconds and realized I was muted. So hopefully I'm coming through okay. Let me know. Give me a thumbs up in the chat if you can hear me okay, if you can see me okay. Hope you're having a great Friday Junior or Friday Eve, depending on your preferences. And also let me know if you can hear the chat. Like whenever someone leaves a comment in the chat, I hear a little audible ping. I want to know if you guys can hear that too, and if so, if it's distracting, because I might need to figure out how to turn that off. Okay. Well, thank you guys for confirming. I appreciate that. Let me know if that audible chime for when. Okay, so you're not getting the ping. Okay, great. Thank you, Andrew, for confirming that. I was worried about that. So here we are. It's been another week. Hope everyone's had a great week since the last time we chatted. And if you're new here, welcome. This is a pretty casual, just chill out live stream. I'm doing these every Thursday now, 8:30 Denver time here in the States. And this week we're going to talk about monetization. And if you guys have questions on YouTube monetization, off platform monetization, or just anything in the bucket of how to make money in or around YouTube, I thought we could chat about that. So definitely leave a question in the chat. And let me try and actually turn on the Q&A. And I wonder if that will make it easier for you guys. Stand by. So start a Q&A. Actually, no. Just leave them in the regular chat. Maybe I think a lot of people will put a bunch of Q's, like capital Q's, before their question so that it's easier for me to see. So that'll be a great way for you to get your question out there. I'll do my best to answer it succinctly and timely. And if I do miss a question, just light me up in the chat. Tell me I'm not holding to my commitments, and I'll try to scroll back and find it. But also, I do have a lot of background noise. I don't know if you can hear it. Let me know. There's a lot of construction on my street right now. They've actually just demoed an older home, and they're basically ripping up trees at this point, and now they're chainsawing the trees to make them easily more transportable. So hopefully that does not come through on the stream. But yes, super chats had a pretty quick response as well. Thank you, Don. Appreciate that. So yeah, Bill, good to see you again. Gosh, you must be a night owl. This is like I think the third week in a row I'm seeing you, and this is pretty late for you. Monique, good to see you as well. Mr. Jessup, good morning. I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. And Gecko Solo, I don't know if we've met before, but welcome if you're new here. Don, of course, we go way back. And then we've got Nanad, who's our Liquid Hour DNB, who's got an amazing music channel for anyone who loves that genre of music. And then Mike from Health and Wealth. Good to see you as well. I noticed you had a video you just posted recently that's doing quite well. So good on you for that. So yeah, it's good to see the crew here today. So first of all, show of hands, is anyone here interested in seeing my YouTube studio and how much money I've made? I know I labeled the chat today or the live stream today my income tour. So if you're interested in that, I would be happy to share that and show you guys how much I have made. You're not going to fall out of your seat. It's not an astronomical amount of money. So don't get your hopes up, but it's a realistic amount. So for anyone chasing monetization, I think it could be just worth taking a look at. And then if you've got questions around what it took to get there, what to expect when people get monetized on YouTube, just ask away. Yeah. Hey, Steve. Good to see you. So, Steve, I think you've done some live streams in the past where you've demoed some of the projects you're working on. So, yeah, I'm hoping to keep this a regular cadence where every single week I get on with you guys and I just chat about whatever, mostly Q&A style. So if there's things on your mind, I hope to try and answer those as best I can, but also I can make it a point to bring a lesson and try and educate about things that I'm learning along the way. So this old horse girl, I don't know if we've met before either, but good to see you and welcome. Thanks for being here. We've got Carnivore Jerry in the middle of a forest. I love that name. It's just so descriptive. It makes me laugh too. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. I've got Liquid DNB again. And yeah, so Steve is like, I guess I would have made about 2 million so far. What do you guys think I've made? For those of you who haven't seen any of my monetization videos, throw in the chat. I've been monetized since, gosh, I don't even know when. January, February timeframe of this year. Give me your best guess. How much do you think I've made from ads and channel memberships and things like that, just through YouTube? I want to know if people have have a good sense of how much you can make. So Monique says 575. Okay. What else do you guys think? 575 is our current. We've got Gecko Solo says 416. Okay. 416. Nanad says 284 and 82 cents. You're very specific. We are rounding up to the nearest penny, by the way, you guys. Carnivore, $7,000. Wow. I love your optimism. If only that would translate to reality. Good guess, though. Fitness over 50 with Suncoast Fit says 1,000. Andrew says 5,000. Steve says, wait, you guys are getting paid? Oh, man. Yes, but not a lot. Okay, so let me do this. Let me share a little bit, and maybe this will help reframe. Here's my YouTube studio. I'm at almost 5,000 subscribers. I hope to get that by the end of June. That's my goal for my goal for the mid-year was to get to 5,000 subs by the end of June. You can see right here, this is kind of giving it away. Here, I'll make it a little bit bigger. This is my subtle cheat sheet. If you can read that, it says $110.84. That is over the last 28 days. So that might be some indication. So you can kind of extrapolate. 5K after expenses. Oh, yeah, you're right. I'm actually negative, Bill. So Bill, astute observation. Since I started my YouTube channel back in July of last year, I have spent way more on all the crap, microphones, software, subscriptions, lighting, monitor, just all of the things that go into making a YouTube channel. I've spent considerably more than I've made back. But the good news is I no longer need to make all of these initial purchases. So I'm starting to almost get closer to breaking even. But of course, a lot of that money is not from ads and from channel memberships and supers. That's coming from my side business. But Bill, you bring up a great point. So I love that. Okay, I'm going to do the reveal here since you guys have been waiting so patiently. We'll come into my content. Oops, sorry. Analytics. We're at 28 days. Let's go lifetime. Drum roll, please. And hold on to your butts. $505.89. So who had the closest? I think it might have been Monique at 575. So Monique, I think you are our AdSense guest winner. Yeah, you're pretty close. Pretty close. Yeah. So what do you guys think? Was that surprising to you? Is that high? Is that low? Is that like WTF? Why are you not making 10 times more than that? Yeah, I'm curious your thoughts on that. So, all of that to say, I think the moral of the story, and for anyone who's watched any of my videos, you know that I don't put all my eggs in the AdSense basket, that I'm diversified on YouTube. And and that I think it's smart for really for anybody who's doing this more seriously, who wants to make it a more of a side hustle or even a full-time job like what I'm trying to do. The AdSense is really just a nice to have, and it can help pay some of the initial expenses. But I think the real money for the majority of creators who are doing this more intentionally is to monetize off platform. And we can certainly talk a little bit more about that as well. So, yeah, Andrew, you were off by 10% or 10 times, order of magnitude, if you will. But no, Monique, you were pretty close. So good on you for that. And I think one of the lessons here is you can often get distracted by the AdSense number and feel like, hey, I need to get more views so that I can get more AdSense numbers. And there's truth to that. Of course, more views equals more revenue, but you got to chase the right kinds of views, because sometimes if you make a video that's a viral video and that kind of blows up in terms of views and you might get a lot of ads from it, that can also pull in a lot of people to your channel that aren't really all that interested in your content to begin with. So if you're out there and you're trying to blow up and have a good AdSense month, I would caution you to chase virality. And insofar as you do, make sure it's the right kind of video that suits and aligns with your channel. So that's my lesson number one. Steve is asking, can you show the breakdown from content type? Are you meaning like ads to channel memberships and supers and things like that, Steve? Here, let me break this down. So for those of you who maybe aren't super familiar with the YouTube Studio and looking at your analytics, and okay, yeah. So Steve's asking about the breakdown. So we can look at the different types of revenue that come in from the YouTube Partner Program. Let me actually change this a little bit. We'll change the date range. We'll just do, I think it was like 1/17/24. Oh no, hold on. Let me fix this, you guys. 25. All right, so here is the full snapshot of when I first earned money through the YouTube Partner Program. It was on January 17th, 2025. I did my first live stream on that day, and I wasn't even monetized for ads yet, but I was in the YouTube Partner Program and I could earn super chats. So, Don, I think it may have been you, and I think it was like two other folks who did a super chat or a super thanks in my live stream, and that's what contributed to that $23.80. So that was my very first earnings through the YouTube Partner Program, and that's actually pretty cool. And then eventually I earned ad revenue a little bit later in the month, towards the end of January. And as you kind of scroll here, you can see the dollar amount per day, right? And these dollar amounts are not anything to write home about, right? They're in the single digits, and that's okay. Like, that's expected for a newer, smaller channel who's just getting into earning ads revenue. And you can kind of track it over time. And you'll notice down here, I actually lost $4.45. So let me ask you guys, how is that possible? Let's test your monetization knowledge. Throw it in the chat. How do you think it's possible to lose money through monetization on YouTube? I'm curious what you think. And if you're not sure and you have no idea, just throw like a thinking emoji or a question mark so that I know if, this is, you're completely stumped on this one. Okay. So we have Carnivore Jerry says copyright. Okay. Monique says someone claimed a fraud charge. Interesting. Prodigal is asking, did I delete a recording? Maybe broke a YouTube guideline. Ismalium, I think I'm saying that right. Welcome, welcome. Um, strikes, copyright strikes. Steve is saying maybe a policy violation. Fitness over 50. Not really sure. This one's stumped. Lose a member. Okay. The old horse girl. This is a good guess because you're pretty close. So here's what happened. I had someone join as a channel member and they ended up subscribing as a channel member. And they initially, I think it was like $2.99 a month, or maybe it's like a $5.99 a month channel membership. I can't remember. Because back then I had two different tiers of channel membership. One was like $3 and one was like $6. And what happened was they had enrolled, and I think they were a channel member for maybe like 2 weeks. And I'd already earned the income, it was already showing in my YouTube studio. But I ended up deleting that tier of channel membership because I wanted to streamline it and have one tier of membership, just because I thought it would be simpler and easier for people to understand. And as a result, it removed that person from being a channel member. And as a result, YouTube took the money back. So the old horse girl, very good guess. If that's what you were going for, that's what happened on this particular date right here. I lost my channel membership from one person because I deleted the tier of channel membership. So that's what that was. So good guesses though, all around. And I see my old coach, Alexa, in the chat. Hello, howdy. Hope you're doing well. Good evening or good afternoon to you, Alexa. Yeah. So Don, pretty close, right? It wasn't a downgrading. It was like I just completely removed that tier of membership, and of course, YouTube pulled back on that. But I ended up speaking with that individual afterwards, and everything was good. But I was really humbled and appreciative of them wanting to contribute and support my channel in that way. So what do you guys think about channel memberships? This is a part of the YouTube Partner Program. It kind of sits adjacent to AdSense. It's obviously a crowdfunding mechanism. And I'm curious if you have any thoughts on if you're going to do channel membership for yourself once you get to monetization. And you can set these up, by the way, at the very beginning tier of the YouTube Partner Program. So once you have your 3,000 watch time hours and your 500 subscribers, you can enable channel memberships. But one big caveat is that YouTube takes a big chunk of that. Does anyone know? This is more quiz time for you guys. Does anyone know how much? What's the percentage that YouTube takes for a channel membership? Like how much do they take and how much do you keep? And also for supers, do you guys know that percentage? Throw it in the chat if you know. Okay, you guys are on it. 30%, 30%. 30%. I feel like I need to give you guys harder questions. Yeah. And then that is suggesting that channel memberships are a good way to know if your viewers really value your content. And if they volunteer and opt in, and even if there's no benefits or perks, it's still nice to know that people would want to support you in that way. So I think it's something that a lot of creators could and should explore. Just don't rely on it as like a primary income source. It's really, in my view, a small supplement to the broader AdSense revenue that you could earn. But yeah, you guys are on it. It's 30%. YouTube takes 30%, and you as the creator get to keep the other 70%. So that's true for channel memberships. That is true for supers and gifts. um, yeah, and I think that's it, right? If I missed one, let me know. Okay, here's another question. What about ad revenue? How much does YouTube take and how much does the creator keep? How much does YouTube take And how much does the creator keep specifically for AdSense? Let's see what you got in the chat. And again, if you don't know, just give me a thinking face emoji or a question mark. Okay, we got living with Parkinson's. YouTube takes 45%. Creator keeps 55. The creator keeps 75, which would mean YouTube takes 25%. Rachel says it depends on the CPM. Okay, interesting. I got a couple of thinking emojis. Says Steve, oh, I love this one. It feels like I only get about 25%. I hear that, Steve. It definitely feels that way, but that's not accurate. All right, any other guesses? Maybe someone's out there already Googling it or asking ChatGPT the answer. Your prize is bragging rights if you get it right. Marfani Old, you're watching from Pakistan. Well, welcome. Good to have you on. All right, I think we may have hit a wall here. We got one more guess. Is Malium 80%? YouTube keeps 20%. I'll give you a hint. The correct answer is already in the chat. And it was living with Parkinson's has the right answer. So YouTube takes 45% of the revenue and the creator keeps 55% of the revenue. So not quite a 50-50 split. The edge goes to the creator, which is nice. But as you can see, we do not get the lion's share. It's definitely not a ton. Oh, thank you, Alexa. What a sweetheart. So hopefully you guys know Alexa. She was my coach and mentor for about 6 months. I don't know how she got through that because I was a big pain in the butt to her. But yeah, super sticker 3, is that euros from Alexa? Yeah. It's so weird about the the emoji. It's like it shows up as words. That's kind of interesting. Living with Parkinson's. Woohoo, the first thing I've ever won. Congratulations. Did you guess or did you know that? I suspect you knew that. You probably already knew that, right? Yes, and Rachel makes a good point. If you are not monetized, well, I should say, if you're not earning ad revenue, YouTube will take 100% of the ads played on your videos. So once you hit that threshold and you're in the YouTube Partner Program and you have AdSense enabled, they are generous and they give you 55% of those earnings. So Marfani Old says YouTube takes too much. I would agree with that to an extent. I think there's some things like the channel memberships and the supers where they take 30%. I think that's a big deterrent for a lot of people because a lot of people go off platform for channel memberships. They use things like Patreon or like Buy Me a Coffee or Ko-Fi or other platforms. And I don't know, it seems to me like going off platform is probably the last thing YouTube wants to do. But because they're taking 30%, it's encouraging people to look for other options. Let me know what you guys think about that. If you're exploring third-party crowdfunding like Patreon or Buy Me a Coffee, because I've tinkered with it a little bit, but I wish YouTube would do a little bit better and give more to the creator to keep it all on platform. Because I really love the simplicity of giving people the option to join and become a channel member right from YouTube. So Enda has a question. What about the new AI ad system for YouTube? There's no more features to edit ads, only tick a box for mid-roll ads on and off. Yeah, I'm curious your thoughts on that too. And it's brand new. I think it launched on May 12th. I The point, so far as I understand it, is to help out with mid-roll ads and specifically to be more strategic about where they're placed. So in the old world, if you have a video that's longer than 8 minutes, that video becomes eligible for a mid-roll ad, which means an ad can be placed somewhere in the middle of that video. So normally for any video, there's an ad played at the beginning and then an ad played at the end. But for videos that are longer than 8 minutes, you can insert or you can request to insert a mid-roll ad. And that just gives you more opportunities for ad revenue. That's why a lot of creators will shoot for 8 minutes or beyond. But that also should not be something that you try to strictly adhere to. Now, with this new feature that YouTube is rolling out, is they're trying to get really strategic about where they place these mid-roll ads because oftentimes you'll be in a video and you'll be watching and the video will cut to an ad mid-sentence, and that's pretty distracting. It's kind of jarring. It pulls you out, like it kills the immersion, right? So what they're trying to do is be more strategic and place those mid-roll ads at natural breakpoints or pauses or transitions in the video, which means, say for example, I'm teaching a video on three three ways to increase your watch time. And as I'm transitioning from like the first method to the second method, there might be a natural break in the video or a pause. And so the AI supposedly is smart enough to know that, and they'll put that ad right after the first method ends and right before the second method starts. So it almost feels like almost like a TV commercial break, if you will. So that's the way I understand it to work. And I hope it works that well because it's, supposedly going to increase ad revenue for everybody. And at the end of the day, I trust that YouTube and Google are implementing revenue generating features that benefit both them and the creator, because it doesn't make sense that they would try to roll something out that actually diminishes their ability to make money. Does that make sense? So even though I know as creators, we often have the ability to insert our own mid-roll, um, I would almost defer and kind of trust YouTube's ability to figure out when to place that ad, because they have, the algorithm's job too is to also understand viewer preferences and viewer behavior. And so if they're showing too many ads and making viewers click away, then that's a bad thing. So the algorithm, in theory, should be giving the viewer just enough ads to not aggravate them to want to click off. So I kind of take a back seat to that. I haven't tinkered around in my own YouTube studio to, modify where the ads go. I'm just letting the algorithm and the AI do it. Yeah. So you're suggesting that people might be increasing the video length to over 8 minutes to get. Yeah, I mean, but that's always been a thing. That's always been a feature of YouTube, and ever since I've started, and well before, any video over 8 minutes would automatically qualify for mid rolls. So, um, oh, interesting. So you've already been using it, and it hasn't been working out for you. I'd be curious to learn more if you're interested in sharing. So let me just check up on the chat. I don't know if I missed a bunch. Um, Yeah. So here's a question. Can ads be played while you're not monetized? So who knows the answer to that question? So if you're not earning any ad revenue on any of your videos, you haven't met that threshold yet, and someone watches your video, will they potentially see an ad on your video? What do you think the answer to that question is? The answer is yes. Yes, yes, yes. I mean, it makes sense to me, right? Because why wouldn't they? If your videos are getting good traction and good visibility and people are enjoying them and you're, just at that beginning stage of growing your channel, YouTube's all about making money. And if they can make 100% profit on the ads being shown on your videos, like more power to them. And it also creates a more consistent experience for the viewers. So imagine if you're a viewer and some videos there's ads and some videos there's no ads, it might feel a little disjointed and it might make it so that the videos where you do see ads, you maybe get a little more agitated because you're in some way used to seeing some videos that don't have ads. So, but you know, it is what it is. And then you build up to that threshold, you get monetized, and then you get your 55% share. So, and that's interesting because I could have sworn I read that not only will the AI try to do the mid roll for you, but I also thought there was a feature for you to select where the mid roll would go. I'll have to take a look at that. But yeah, Monique makes a great point. It is YouTube's yard. They're letting you play. I like that. Yeah, I mean it's their platform. They control the rules. And that's why lesson number 3 is it always makes sense to try to bring your audience off platform. So again, for anyone who's trying to do YouTube either as a side hustle or for a primary income, we're at the mercy of YouTube, right? They can change the algorithm, they can change the percentage mix that we earn. They can do a lot of things that may either benefit us or, be a hit to our income. So, with that in mind, I think it makes a lot of sense to try and take your captive audience on YouTube and figure out a way to nurture them off of YouTube. And that could be an email list, that could be a community. So right now I have my school community, which this is a great natural segue to plug my community. So for anyone interested, for anyone just getting started on YouTube, whether you're brand new, whether you're growing, or whether you're working towards monetization, feel free to join my community. It's free to join. I'll put the link here in the chat. And it's really just a bunch of people working through the growing pains of getting started and growing on YouTube. But the benefit here for me is that I get to hang out with these people literally every week and chat about YouTube and try to figure out how to get better at YouTube. And if YouTube changes their algorithm tomorrow and I no longer earn ad revenue, this in a way is still a source of potential monetization because the more I work with certain people, the more they might want to work with me as a coach or a mentor. So, just food for thought. There's a lot of ways to monetize off platform, and it's smart to do so because, YouTube they're going to do whatever's in their best interests. And if giving us some money is in their best interest, they'll do that. But if revoking some of that is in their best interest, then they'll do that as well. Um, Carnivore Jerry says, it's funny. If memberships tips is 99 cents, YouTube charges my credit card $1.04. Oh, interesting. Do you have that set up, Jerry? Is that something you're actually seeing in practice? I'm curious. I have, I think, on my channel, we can take a look actually. I think I have I have 2 members now. So that's kind of cool. And my total earnings over the last few months just from channel memberships is around 20 bucks. And again, this is after the YouTube cut. So the full amount would have been a lot more. Well, I should say 30% more. So this is a cool tab, this revenue tab. Once you're in the YouTube partner program, this will show up in your YouTube studio automatically. And you can actually see where your members are joining from, which is kind of neat. And so I never talk about my channel memberships at all. Actually, let me get rid of the comment here. So right down here, you can see which videos on my channel contributed to someone joining as a channel member. So this could be useful for you to know what kinds of videos to make if you're optimizing for channel memberships. So pretty cool analytics. And then for supers and gifts, you can see all that right here. I've had a total of 7 lovely people donate a super thanks or a super chat. So if you're out there, I appreciate it. Don, I know you're one. Alexa, I know you're one. I think, I don't know who else has donated, but you can see it right here and you can see how much you've gotten from each one. And you can, of course, see the day that you've earned it as well. And this is the total amount, $43. So what's kind of interesting about this is as you grow on YouTube, as your viewership expands and you reach more and more people and your community grows, these numbers can start to take on a life of their own. So while it might seem small and inconsequential right now, keep in mind, for someone like me, I've only been doing this for 10 months. My channel's still, from my vantage point, relatively small. I'm at just under 5,000 subscribers, and I don't really optimize for these types of things. If you feel like you love doing live streams, think of a creator like Roberto Blake, for example, or think of another creator like Rob the Maritimer. If you guys know Rob, he's amazing. He does at least one live stream per week, and I think he's going to try and doing a second live stream. And some of these live streams go on for 3 hours. And he's building such a phenomenal community of people that want to participate every single week. And a lot of these folks, well, I shouldn't say a lot, but some small percentage of his community will voluntarily support him through a super, through a channel membership. And it's a really good way of, giving people the option to support you as a creator without really a ton of heavy lifting on your end to make it happen. So just know that as your channel grows, some of these things can start to add up and become more meaningful and consequential for you. And to just join the group. Awesome. Awesome. There are a few questions that you'll have to answer, and then I'll approve your application. So thank you for your interest there. Ismalium says, can I make a whole video about that? It'll be useful. Wait, what were we talking about? Was it about, remind me, and I might. So let me ask the whole group this question because I've been thinking about this a lot lately. What do you guys think about more content around the ins and outs of monetization? Meaning, how does the AdSense platform actually work? The percentage mix? What is CPM? What is RPM? Are you guys interested in that kind of content? Maybe a dedicated video on channel memberships, maybe a dedicated video on supers and gifts. I'm curious your thoughts on that because I've been kind of leaning in that direction a little bit, and that's what inspired today's live stream. Okay, so Ismailim says community off YouTube. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. But if you have an interest in this style of content where I'm doing like these small sort of deep dives, just educational content on all the different facets of the YouTube Partner Program and maybe even off-platform monetization methods and strategies, let me know because that is a topic very near and dear to my heart. I find I love doing the research in those topics, and if you're interested in that kind of content, I'd be happy to make videos on that. Um, Carnivore Jerry says, I subscribe to 2 channels, Serious Keto and Keto Simple. That's great. So you're supporting those creators, which is awesome. Good on you. And I'm sure they appreciate your support as well. Steve is asking about shorts revenue. Good call out. Question for the group. Any idea how much money I make in shorts revenue from ads on shorts? Throw it in the chat if you think you know how much I'm earning on ads for shorts, specifically for shorts. Okay, prodigals all over it. The answer is 0. I don't make shorts at all. And Rachel got it right as well. I don't do any shorts. I don't know. I have this weird aversion to shorts right now. I don't think that they really help me, although I could be completely wrong about that. And I just don't want them to be a distraction from my long form content. So, but if you're curious about how shorts ad revenue works, here's the way I understand it. And if anyone wants to correct me as I say this, feel free to throw it in the chat. The way I understand it is that YouTube essentially collects money from all the advertisers willing to pay to place ads on short content. And it's like a bucket. Think of a bucket full of money. And then for all of the creators making shorts, they will get a proportional amount from that bucket based on the number of views that their videos get. Actually, it might be, I don't know if it's watch time or views. So if there's a creator who has a short that has 10,000 views on it, and there's a creator that has a short that has 1,000 views, the creator that has the 10,000 views might earn 10 times as much. But just know that the shorts ad revenue is so small. It is like fractions of a penny. And so that's why I don't think it's super worth pursuing. And obviously, the ad revenue, even on long forms, isn't going to be something that's like astronomical. So the fact that the shorts are so much smaller isn't of interest to me. And then on top of that, I don't think my viewers really watch a lot of shorts. So it's kind of my 2 cents. I'm not trying to reach that younger demographic. Um, Steve, are you saying you make $10 a month on shorts? Or are you thinking that I should be? Or maybe that's your guess for how much I make. Jerry is saying, give me your opinion of intros on videos. Should they be short, 30 seconds, or do we need them? I notice people are using these and value your opinions. When you say intros, do you mean like some sort of animated bumper, like a graphic and an image, some sort of branding effect? Or do you mean like a hook, as in, um, you know, if you're struggling with X, Y, and Z in today's video, I'm going to share 3 tips to overcome blah, 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 blah. Like, let me know, Jerry, if that's kind of what you're thinking about. I will say, I think it's really smart for a lot of creators to lean into what feels natural for them when they're starting their video. Because sometimes, myself included, I will overly script a video. I'll overly script the hook of the video and I'll try to follow the guru frameworks for it. And when I deliver it to the camera, it can come off just really crappy and like robotic. Other times, I will start a video and I'll just be like, hit record. Hey guys, it's Ty. Hope you're doing well. In today's video, we're going to talk about X, Y, and Z. Just very informal, very casual, very unscripted. And sometimes those videos do better. So I think the answer to your question, Jerry, is lean into what feels most natural and comfortable for you. If you feel as though doing that is leading to low retention on your videos, then you can start to try and come up with a more formulaic hook strategy that you can implement. I'll show you what I'm talking about. And we'll come back to monetization, but this is a good question. So in your analytics, if you look at your content, if you go to your videos, you can see, so we're under analytics and then we're under content, and you can see your videos that have the best and worst 30-second retention. And so some of the videos that have the best 30-second retention are videos that I didn't really have scripted hooks on. And some of the videos where I had scripted hooks, I didn't have all that great retention. So I wish I could give you like a solid yes or no, but my recommendation would be to experiment. Do what feels natural and organic for you and evaluate if it's working. If it's working, keep doing it. If it's not working and your retention looks pretty terrible, and I'll show you kind of what a terrible retention graph looks like this one right here. You see how there's this steep drop off at the beginning? That's because my hook was not interesting, or maybe the topic was not all that interesting. Then you can really start to experiment with having ChatGPT maybe give you a really clean and simple hook to use at the beginning of your videos, but try it out and practice it and rehearse it and try and make it sound natural and organic. I think 20 seconds is plenty. I think 30 seconds you can do. I've seen some hooks go as long as like the hook plus the intro, as long as like 45 seconds to a minute. But it does just require some experimentation, some trial and error to see what works and what doesn't. So coming back to Steve's comment, he makes $10 on his shorts. That's pretty good. I think. I don't know. And I want to come back to Ismailiam's comment earlier about community off YouTube. So throw a comment for me in the chat, you guys. Let me know, are you thinking about off-platform monetization methods, right? Are you thinking about a newsletter? Are you thinking about a community? Are you thinking about a course or a digital product or merchandise? I'm curious what's on your mind with respect to those monetization options, because there's a lot of options out there. And I think community these days is really important. Giving people a playground with which to hang out and get to know others and to work through the kinks together, I believe is important for a lot of people. I was watching a lot of Sunny Lenarduzzi videos. I don't know if you guys are familiar with her, but she makes really good content for business-minded content creators who are trying to scale their YouTube business into, a considerable amount of money. And her whole thing is people don't want information. They want transformation. Meaning, it's one thing to create a course for your community, but it's another thing to give them a way to digest that information and to work through a framework or a process that gets them closer to their desired results or outcomes. So, I think for anyone out there who's evaluating how to make money through YouTube, it's trying to come up with a very discrete roadmap or process or framework to help people that your channel is serving solve a problem, a legitimate problem that they might be stuck with. And then on top of that, if you can create a community around this resource and give people the ability to ask questions and bounce feedback off one another, then you're creating a really vibrant way of people to learn not just the content, but to actually put it in practice, implement, and get better. So Ismailiam, if you have more questions along that topic, I'd love to dig in a little bit deeper with you on that. So Monique says, I have a self-publishing course starting next month and releasing a book for relocation. Tell me more about that, Monique. I'm curious. What's the course like? Where are you hosting it? Who's it serving? And then are you also planning on giving your potential customers of that course the ability to interact with each other and communicate? I'm always curious to see how other folks are faring on their monetization journey. Steve says, besides school, what other platforms do you use? Um, I use school for my community, but I also use, for those of you familiar with Think Media, they have their Video Ranking Academy program, which lives on Circle. So you guys familiar at all with Circle? It's another community-based um, online platform. There's courses in there. There's like community posts, and so I've taken a lot of the modules inside VRA. But what I haven't found all that useful, if I'm being honest about Circle, is like the community element. And maybe I just haven't dug in enough. But I found that the modules are very easy to access and get into. But I don't know that there's really that much of a community on this platform. And I know that Think Media has their Facebook group for VRA, but it's really big and I don't like Facebook. So I sort of don't ever participate in it. But that's to the extent of my community experience. I know there's other platforms like Heartbeat. Um, Gosh, there's one more. I can't think of it. But I know like Circle's pretty popular. Like Kajabi's another one. Zenlar, I think, is another one. So there's a variety of platforms out there. I just find school to be very user friendly and simple. There's not a lot of bells and whistles to distract you. So I think for a lot of people, it's just simple to get into. So Steve is mentioning, I'd like to set up a community for my viewers who have laser questions, but not sure that school would work. I was thinking maybe Patreon. Yeah. Um, maybe Steve, maybe a community post, asking your viewers like, hey, what would your preferences be for a community, and just see what they say, like give them the platforms. I know a lot of people use Patreon still. I don't know the full capabilities in terms of community, but I know it's a good place to crowdsource for potential memberships and to provide like behind the scenes and to build a small little community there. I know some niches benefit more from Patreon than others. But Steve, one thing maybe you and I can work on if you're interested is we could take a look at some of your competitors, other people in your space, and we could maybe map out their business model and their funnel. So let me know if that's interesting to you. We can DM about it, because I love that kind of research, by the way. So Jerry's asking, can people belong to two schools, yours and Alexis, for example? Absolutely, 100%. You can belong to as many schools as you want. So you can see I'm in Alexa's right here. I'm also in another one by my friend Dave, who does all things AI marketing. And then I'm in these other two, Synthesizer and Wavy World. These are all free to join. So yeah, you can be in multiple school communities. It doesn't matter. And you can even be an administrator or owner of multiple school communities if you want to. Okay, so Monique, coming back to Monique for a second. Hosting on Zoom, you're doing consultations. You don't want to overprice, but you don't want to underprice. You may do videos for it when the hubby flies back to the US. Gives me time to work until midnight or longer. Yeah. Yeah, consultations, like essentially working with people one-on-one is kind of what that sounds like, which I think is great for newer folks, especially, I mean, I'm biased because I do one-on-one consultations all the time. And it's a good way to get to know your viewers and your audience. So we'll just use me as an example. And you guys might have a different background or different experience, but if you have a background or an expertise or an education in a specific field that you then want to monetize, then amazing, right? You can start on YouTube. You can advertise, hey, I do coaching and consulting, or hey, I've got a product that I can sell you. But for someone like me, I started on YouTube back in July of last year. I didn't have any experience with YouTube or making videos or coaching people about YouTube. And so I kind of had to build the plane as I was flying it, and I essentially was just trying to learn as much as I could in real time and show that on YouTube. And then eventually I found people that were interested in working with me directly one on one to help them get started on YouTube because they were just a few steps behind me. And so I think there's some value and some trust that gets built when you're just a few steps ahead of people. But it's a great way to get to know what people need because you get to talk to these people, you get to work with them, DMs, emails, video messages. You get to start a community like I've done here. And this community for me has been such an eye opener because it's helped me understand how I can better serve people and the kinds of videos I could be making to solve people's problems around growing on YouTube. And so you can use this almost as a way to validate a potential offer that you might have in the future. And so even though right now I'm working with clients and I'm getting paid for it, they're still also educating me on what other clients might need down in the future. And so if I build a digital product, I can kind of tailor it to all of the learnings I've had over the last several months of doing coaching. So again, just coming back to this idea of consulting and coaching is a really good way to get to know your target viewer and to be able to tailor a product or service that's really relevant for them. And also to make more videos too. Jerry says, I like both of your styles. Thank you. Yeah, Alexa's been a really big source of inspiration for me. It was between her and Rob last summer when I watched their videos that really kickstarted and motivated me to want to get started on YouTube. So Yeah, she's been awesome. She's been a great coach, great mentor. She's been super accessible, and she's obviously built a very big community as well. So she's got a lot going for her, and she's just a hustler. It's really impressive to watch what she does. I don't know how the hell she does it. She's got 3 kids, and she outworks me with, I don't have any kids, and I'm doing this full time, and she just completely outworks me every single day, and it's just astonishing to watch. Um, Rachel mentions that the plant community, they all love Patreon. So that's a good observation. Rachel and I have been doing a little bit of competitor analysis for her niche as well. So for anyone out there who's trying to figure out, like, what are my options for monetization? How could I potentially earn money through my channel? Right? I would say go to ChatGPT and say, hey, here's my channel, here's the niche, here's the customer that I serve. And here's the problems that I'm trying to solve. What do you think good monetization options might be for me? And it might list you some things to think about or consider. And then you should go out on YouTube and look at other people in your niche or maybe adjacent to your niche and really study their channels. Go to their description, go to their video descriptions, and look for their links to their website, links to their newsletter or lead magnet, links to an offer or a sales page, and try to write that stuff down and map it out. Because if you can conceptually understand how some of these creators are making their money, it might also encourage you or inspire you to start thinking along those same direction. So good call out there, Rachel. Ninad, Ty wastes no time, goes straight to the point, and is excellent doing. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I really do appreciate that. That's what I go for, you guys. Hopefully, no fluff, no BS. I sometimes say things with a lot of confidence and certainty that are not accurate. So I need you guys to call me out on my crap and let me know when I say something incorrectly. Like in my last video, the one about monetization, I incorrectly said in this video that if you earn subscribers through paid promotions, they still count towards your 1,000 subscriber threshold for the YouTube Partner Program. And I could have sworn that was true, but a viewer called me out in the comments and told me I was wrong. And then they emailed me screenshots proving it. So I stand corrected. Um, so it's just an example of, we don't always need to know everything. As long as we're putting in a good faith effort and trying to help people, that's the most important thing. But Nanette, I appreciate the compliment, sir. Hey, Julia. Hope you're doing well. So you haven't found your topic yet. We might need to talk about that. If you're struggling to find a niche or something that you're passionate about making videos about, I hear you. I even think about that now, 10 months into this, YouTube growth channel that I'm doing. But it's a common problem that a lot of newer folks have trying to figure out which direction to go with their channel. Be curious. Let me know in the comments, Julie, if you're okay sharing what some of your interests are and maybe what's holding you back from picking one or the other. Ninad says it was true a year and a half ago. Yeah. The paid subscription thing. I don't know why I had that in my head. I could have sworn that was true. I know that the watch time hours that you accrue through paid ads do not count towards your watch time target, but I thought that subscribers did. But maybe that is lesson number, what are we at? 8 for the video. That if you do paid promotions, which are ads, right? You can pay Google to promote your videos. I don't recommend that. Unless you're like selling a product in that video, maybe it makes sense because that video will then convert to sales. But if you're just trying to grow your channel and reach 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch time hours, definitely don't do paid ads because the subscribers and the watch time hours will not count. You have to do all of that organically. Prodigal says, hint, hint, we talk about this stuff in school, and absolutely we do. So great plug. Great plug there, Prodigal. And that's another opportunity for me to paste our link in the chat. And I promise you guys, this is not a giant commercial for my school community. But I just want to make sure for anyone out there who needs a YouTube friend or a community of people to work with, that you have options. And this is a very low pressure, low friction way of partnering with people and learning from others and working through the kinks and the growing pains together. Yeah, and Anad makes a great point. Sometimes if you have a bad ad strategy, it can kill your channel. So I don't know, Nanad, if you want to add more to that in the chat, I can relay it to the group. But yeah, it's tricky. Paid ads are it's a whole separate animal altogether. I haven't looked a ton into it, but I don't know if it makes a ton of sense for newer people to get into. It might seem like a good idea, like on its face, because it can drive a lot of traffic to your channel. But if it's disinterested traffic, it doesn't really do anything for you. Hopefully that makes sense. Oh no, just paid for an ad. Uh-oh, Steve, tell me more. What did you pay for? Like, what were you trying to promote? Just a video or 20 bucks for your ad on the last video? Okay. Well, let us know how it goes. One thing I've noticed, there was a creator that I saw the other day, and I was looking at their videos, watching their video, and the video had like 20,000 views on it, which I was like, wow, this is a great video. Like there's a lot of views on it. But there was like only 2 or 3 comments. And I was like, this guy paid for views. This was like a paid thing. And it just looks weird, you know? Like it doesn't sit right. You got all of these views, but no engagement, no likes, no comments, no shares. What does it say about the video? Is it any good? Or, you know, if it's not getting organic reach, then maybe it's not a good quality video. But I think, Steve, in your case, if you are using a video to sell a product, then I think paid ads can make sense. Again, I'm a novice, an amateur at this, so take what I say with a grain of salt. But I think there's some value there. If you've got a really compelling video that does a great job of selling something and you can recoup the ad cost and you're not trying to get subscribers or get watch time hours, then yeah, then more power to you because that's a really good return on investment if you can make that money back. I would be curious to know the results of that $20 spend and if it converts to sales. Yeah. So Nanad says, I've spent $500 on YouTube promotions and got my channel monetized. And then this is an old channel. This is like Nanad's old channel, not his current one. It's 500 bucks on YouTube promotions, got the channel monetized, and then the reach views just disappeared. Yeah, he says if you're not directly selling something, then don't do ads. Yeah. Yeah, I think like the initial surge of subscribers to the channel might look and feel great, but if they're only there once and then they bail, then it's almost like you have an artificially high subscriber count and there's no engagement, there's no traction, the algorithm doesn't know who to serve the videos to, so it can be you can kind of be like shooting yourself in the foot. So curious if you guys have any other thoughts on monetization in general. And if there's any other things in the YouTube studio you want me to show. I think one area that might be interesting to you guys, if coming back into the studio here for a second, does everyone know the difference between CPM and RPM? Are those acronyms something you've heard about before or you've seen before? Let me know in the comments if those acronyms are something you've heard about. They are for newer monetized creators, those are things that you sort of slowly acclimate towards, but they're important to know because it's effectively going to help you understand how much ad revenue you can get on your videos. The CPM stands for cost per, I think it's pronounced meal. And it's essentially the amount of money YouTube can charge the advertiser to place ads on their videos. Okay. And then the RPM is revenue per meal. So the CPM is the total amount that YouTube collects from the advertiser. And then the RPM is the share that the creator gets. And for any data nerds out there, if you go into your analytics and you go to see more in your YouTube studio, these are two metrics that you can add in. You'll see them right here. It might be hard to see. It says CPM and it says RPM. So if you look at my videos, you can kind of see here. Let me zoom in a little bit. You can see my average CPM on my channel across all of my videos is $7.56. So for every 1,000 views, YouTube is essentially collecting $7.56 for my videos. I'm getting $4.39 of that. So that's the difference between the CPM and the RPM. Okay. Now, this isn't the end all be all though, because there's one more metric that's even more interesting, and it is the playback based CPM. And what this tells you is this is how much you're making. Essentially, this is how much YouTube is collecting per effective video. So like sometimes videos are longer. So imagine a 30-minute video that has several spots where ads are placed. That's going to increase your playback based CPM. So you'll notice that the CPMs vary greatly from video to video. And that because I think timing has to do with it, seasonality has to do with it, right? And in Q4, the CPMs tend to be higher because it's the holiday season and advertisers are willing to bid more on ad placement. And then the niche or the topics that you're talking about all play a role in what the CPMs are for your videos. So imagine a channel that talks about gaming, computer gaming, like, I don't know, Call of Duty or whatever. The people willing to put ads on those videos, like the advertisers that want to put ads on gaming videos, they're not willing to pay that much money because the viewers of those gaming videos don't have a lot of money to spend normally. Alternatively, if you are a finance channel and you're talking about the stock market, and you're talking about credit cards, and you're talking about the federal interest rates, right? These are topics that appeal usually to older people, like middle life people and beyond, or people that are heavily invested. And these people tend to have more money, more disposable income. Therefore, the advertisers are willing to spend more money to get their ads placed in front of those viewers because they have more discretionary money to spend on the products being shown in those ads. So I hope that makes sense. The niche that you pick on YouTube, the topics that you talk about on YouTube greatly impact the potential revenue sharing through AdSense, if that makes sense. Give me a thumbs up in the chat if I encapsulated that correctly. Because it can be, kind of a weird gray, murky area for a lot of folks. But it's good information to know, but I wouldn't let the CPM dictate the direction you take your channel. So for example, I'm not going to just start talking about financial things because I want a higher CPM. I'm still going to talk about the things that I'm passionate about, the things that I want to help people with, right? Regardless of what the CPM is on my channel. And I think for most creators, you should take that same approach. However, I will say, if you notice that within your niche, if there are some topics that get really, really low CPMs and some that get really, really high CPMs, that might help inform your content strategy decision. But again, keep the viewer front and center, keep the viewer in mind. Don't try to just chase the best CPM, because the more you chase money on YouTube, I think the worse we all end up doing and the least amount of value you give to your viewer. So this is really all for illustration, just to understand kind of like the back end mechanics of how YouTube can charge advertisers, the share that we get, and how video length and the number of ad placements per video can ultimately dictate how much we get from ads. So that was a bit of a deeper dive on that. Hopefully that's helpful to you guys. Dogs are the best friends. Hey, welcome. I don't think we met before. Good to see you. Thanks for coming in the chat. So what we're doing, for those of you who maybe have joined recently, is we're talking about monetization on YouTube. So if you have any questions on-platform monetization, meaning the YouTube Partner Program, AdSense, channel memberships, supers, and things like that, throw your questions in the chat. Or if you're interested to know about options for monetizing off of YouTube, feel free to also ask those questions as well. I'm not an expert, but I've got some experience working with other creators and trying to monetize my own business as well. So I'd be happy to try to help out as much as I can. And if you have a question that's not related to monetization, feel free to throw that in there as well. I'll do my best to answer that for you guys. So Nanad actually made a comment earlier. He said, merch is a good option when you grow the community. Yeah, I think there's some opportunity there. I think it depends, though, on the niche and the brand. I don't know if anyone would buy any merch that I might come up with, like a Ty Myers hoodie or, a hat or something. But I think for other more lifestyle channels, that's certainly a possibility. Okay, here's a question from earlier. And Don, thank you, because I definitely missed a question or two. So, question from earlier, how do your lives, including replays, compare in watch time hours to your recorded videos? That is a great question. Let's take a look. So, in my analytics, we can come into see more. And let me actually move Don's comment here. Hopefully you can still see it. And we'll take a look at my watch time on my actual videos. So I'm going to come up to this filter here. I'll change this from all videos to just long form videos. So what we're looking at is long form only. These are not live streams. And you can see my watch time right here in the middle. Let me zoom in a little bit. You should be able to see that, right? So we'll take a look at lifetime. And you can kind of get an idea of what my average watch time is per long form video. You'll notice a really big spike in watch time right here. This video is about 17% of all of my watch time on my channel because it got almost 40,000 views. But anywhere from like 20 to 40, 80. And I think for the older videos, they're obviously going to have more watch time because they'll have had more time to reach more people. But in some cases, a couple hundred watch time hours, right? 9,500 views, almost 700 watch time. So, and it obviously depends on the video length as well. And it depends on how good the retention is on that video. So here's the watch time for long. So let's take a look at live streams. So here is my watch time on my live streams. So it's ranging probably between 20 and 40 hours. But notice the views, right? They're not nearly as high as the number of views I get on my long form videos. So, it just depends. And I will tell you though, live streams tend to do a good job. I'm generalizing, but they tend to do a good job of helping people earn more watch time. And one of the reasons for that is they tend to be lower friction and they don't require any editing. And also, you can have more meaningful connections with your community, and they may want to hang out and stay on the video longer and like chat with you while you're doing the live, which is great. But then, even afterwards, when your live stream is done and it becomes a long form video on your channel, people might still find it and they might still want to watch it and spend 20, 30, 50 minutes watching your video. And that can really add up on the watch time. I have a client who some of you might know, Ellen, and she did, this was like 3 weeks ago, I think. She did a live stream for, I was like somewhere between an hour and 2 hours. I can't remember. And at the time, she had a normal amount of people joining the live stream. But after it ended and it posted to her channel, the video blew up. And I had never seen a live blow up this way before. She's got almost, I think, close to like 40,000 views on a long live stream, which is really, really impressive. So you can imagine how many watch time hours she's picked up from that one live stream. So I think there's a lot of factors that play into it, but in general, live streams are a really good way to, one, get good at talking to camera and hopefully relinquish some of the nerves that come with trying to deliver to camera, but also to build community and help people and be of service and spend the time that people want to spend with you. And then the reward is hopefully more watch time hours. So hopefully that answers the question. I don't even know who asked that, but apologies if you're no longer here. Hopefully you get the answer to that question. So I don't know if we have any other questions. Um, it was your question, Don. Okay, I appreciate that. Yeah, and I think the better you get, right? Like the more you do something, you get better at it. So the better you get at live streams, the maybe the more engagement you'll earn over time, the more watch time you'll earn over time. So Mike says an example. Yeah, your niche is a finance channel, and it's 10 to 20 cents per view, depending on what type of topic or what type of video you put. Yeah, that's a great. I'm more curious about that, Mike. Like in your niche, you probably are earning some of the highest CPMs, I would imagine. I think niches like personal finance, investing, things related to money, the stock market, things related to crypto, those might perform the best in terms of CPM. And I'm curious to know too, do you know what kinds of ads play on your videos? Like, have you seen those advertisements to know maybe it's things like Robinhood or other investing apps, or maybe more, what's the word? Like the legacy sort of financial institutions like Schwab or like, I don't know, Fidelity. Maybe they have ads. I would imagine they're willing to pay a lot of money to get in front of high earners or people that are invested and things like that. Another question from Fitness Over 50. Do you ever turn off mid-roll ads? No. Mm-mm. I haven't messed with mid-roll ads. Earlier, I mentioned that I sort of trust YouTube's judgment to place those ads appropriately to make sure that they're doing right by the viewer and also maximizing their own earnings. I don't know if there's a natural benefit to turning off mid-roll ads, but I'm curious your thoughts on that. If you think there's a reason why a creator might want to turn off mid-rolls. I think for certain niches, like we might want to use Ninad's channel as an example, where he's on his channel, it's all music based, and he has these 1 hour mixes of electronic dance music. So that's an example of a niche where you probably do not want to place a mid-roll ad on your video because it kills the immersion. And oftentimes, a viewer might want to play a video and just listen to the music in the background. If all of a sudden they're hearing ads, they might be like, well, I'm just going to go to a different channel that doesn't play ads. So there might be an ad up front or an ad at the end, but probably not a mid roll. Same thing with relaxation videos, or I don't know, like maybe an exercise video, a yoga video, or a video designed to help you fall asleep. Those might not be good videos to have a mid roll ad on. Connie, welcome. How do you deal with low view numbers in the beginning and stay motivated? Ooh, that is a question. Um, it's a challenge. There's no easy way to push through it other than to try to convince yourself that things will get better and they'll improve. Early on, for me, my first video, for whatever reason, did really, really well. And then all of my follow up videos kind of sucked in comparison. And it would have been really easy for me to be like, well, I peaked early. People are no longer interested in the content that I'm making. But what I would remind myself over time is that YouTube is going to be a 3 to 5 year project in order to get halfway decent at it. And in order to find your voice and your workflow rhythm and to get better at finding topics and doing titles and thumbnails, that's going to take a long time. And so I just reminded myself that it's okay to be bad early on. And it's hard, even to this day, 10 months in, to see views that are pretty low. Like, here's an example on my channel. You guys can see this, right? This video I posted the other day, it's a 9 out of 10, which means it's one of the worst performing videos for me over my last 10 videos. But here's what I tell myself when I see something like that is I don't care if it's a 9 out of 10. I only care if this video was helpful to some people out there who need this kind of help. And if you can reorient your thinking to lead with that, to lead with being of service, to being helpful to other people, to doing right by trying to figure out what problems people have and trying to make content that solves those problems, then irrespective of the views, you're at least doing good, right? You're trying to have an impact. You're trying to, you know, take some friction out of somebody's life. And if I get views in the process and I make some money in the process, wonderful. I love that. But I have to constantly remind myself that I'm here for the viewer. I'm here to solve their problems. And everything is a lesson, everything is feedback. So maybe this topic wasn't all that interesting to people, right? Maybe not a lot of people needed this kind of help. And that's okay. It's good to know. But you don't know until you try. So I often say experiment a lot, try different video formats, try different delivery styles, tried filming things differently in different locations, and just see what feels good for you and what the viewers resonate with. And then in time, as things start to slowly grow, you can ask for more discrete feedback and try to get a sense of what your viewers actually want from you. But it is very much a throw spaghetti at the wall situation to see what starts to grab it, to see what starts to resonate with your viewers, if that makes sense. And Connie, also, by the way, if you're struggling with motivation because of low views, I mentioned earlier, and I don't know if you saw it, but I have a community you can join. There's a lot of other people who are also just starting out, and they might be a good avenue for us to connect with to sort of work through some of those initial issues and hurdles. So I'll just shamelessly plug my community again if you're interested, but no pressure, no pressure. Let's come back to Gecko Solo. Is there any way to increase my long form impressions? They've dropped to under 100 recently. Hmm. I think number one, Gecko, and I don't know. Let me take a look at your channel actually. So here's your channel. Ooh. Now, first impressions. First impressions is it's not really clear what your channel is for. It does say you make tech videos 2 to 3 times a day. Um, so okay, tech videos is in your up here as well. Let me just play one of your videos.
Have you ever thought about starting a YouTube channel? If the answer is yes, you might have thought about what kinds of equipment you needed to get started, which is what I'm going to be teaching in this video. Do not start.
Okay. So it looks like you have a lot of different types of technology that you're making videos about. And let's see, you've been at it for 5 months. Initially, a lot of Python, and then teaching things on YouTube, Microsoft 365, screen record. So a lot of these are how-tos, right? These videos might take a long time to eventually find traction. But yeah, Ninad brings up a great point about channel keywords. And I think ultimately you might want to consider, I don't know, maybe narrowing your focus or just getting really clear with like what each video is designed to do. And it looks like you've pivoted from talking about Python a lot to talking about changing from coding. Okay, so here's a channel update to general tech tutorials. Yeah. I think, and I don't have any experience with this, but um, when you change niches or when you pivot to different topics, it can take a while for you to find a new audience. I think what's contributing to your low impressions is that pivot that you've just made. Yeah, it makes sense. So Gecko, it sounds like maybe you're gonna be doing more videos like tech how-to videos. Um, I think that's I've seen other channels do really, really well in that type of niche. So you might have to just keep at it, right? Keep making a lot of these tutorials, and eventually you might find one or two that start to really pop off because someone's actually really searching for that style of content. But you won't really know until you keep pursuing this path. But I think yeah, like coming in here and adding a have ChatGPT give you a really good description. Tell it what kind of videos you want to make, who you're trying to help, the style of the videos that you're making, and then have it come up with a very keyword dense description that you can put in here. Also in your videos as well, you might need to have descriptions in your videos too. Like that would be helpful for SEO, also for people just to know what they're watching. And then, that could help ultimately with people finding your content a little bit more easily. Hopefully that's helpful. Yeah, good comment here from Fred. So Fred's no frills video. I have 2 channels. I started this journey with the mindset that I will produce content that my audience tells me they want and what I enjoy. If it makes money, that will just be a bonus. I think this is such a great way to think about content creation. And I will be honest with you guys, I'm pretty guilty of um because I'm trying to do my thing as my primary income. I oftentimes think too much about how to make money. And in the process, I lose the plot and I sometimes forget about the viewer. If you can approach your content creation from a place of, I want to just help people and I'm enjoying the content creation process. Like I like doing the work, but I really love spreading my message and helping other people. then I think that is the best recipe for YouTube success in the long term for most people. Um, because ultimately, a lot of people will start and try YouTube just to get a sense of how it feels, like if they're any good at it, if they like it. And some for a lot of people it's not for them. But if you enjoy the process and you want to just genuinely help other people based on information that you've learned or lived through or that or maybe it's part of a career that you had previously, then I think that's a really great way to approach it. Because if you enjoy it, then you won't burn out as quickly, right? And if you're not solely focused on the money aspect of it, it won't bother you to take a week off or 2 weeks off, right? It's the people who are hyper focused on this, like me, who, when they have a bad week or when they don't post for a week, we can kind of get in our heads and be like, well, I've missed my commitments and I'm not executing the way I should. So there's like this, it's a bit of a struggle. So, but I love that. That's a really good call out. Thank you for sharing that. So Mike's channel, which talks about finance, he says for the ads that play on his channel, his demographic is 96% men. Wow. 25 to 65 years old. Interesting. I'm curious if you know if they're more financially related or if it's just like, I don't know, um, if it's other things, other men related hobbies or things that men might want. I have no idea what ads play on my videos. Um, I haven't looked. Well, you know what? It's funny because I actually do watch some of my videos, but I just don't pay attention to the ads. I skip through them. Um, so coming back, Gecko mentioned something a minute ago to here too, that they ran out of ideas around Python to make videos about. And this, I think, is something that a lot of creators struggle with too, to some extent, is how do you keep the pipeline full and how do you keep the creative juices flowing and coming up with new ideas or fresh ways to tackle ideas? Um, it's tough. It's difficult. I oftentimes will have a list of video topics and titles that I want to make videos about, but then I'll look at the list and I'll be like, I don't want to make any of these. I'm kind of bored of looking at the same titles, or I just feel like maybe they're not going to perform well. But again, coming back to the trap of optimizing for the algorithm and making money versus what do your viewers need from you? How can you be helpful? So sometimes it's about taking old content that that works and coming up with a fresh view, fresh packaging, a fresh angle, and republishing a video. Or maybe it's just seeing what is working within your niche or with your competitors to know if there's any trending topics to look at. And maybe in some cases, it's just sitting back and not overthinking it and just pressing record and having some casual chat with the camera about what you're up to, what you're thinking about, um, your hot take on the niche or the channel for the moment, or maybe things that are happening in and around your niche, a more informal, casual video, if you will. So, yeah, but I understand that all too well, Gecko. So I know we've been at it, you guys, for a good hour and a half. I think we're probably at a good stopping point. So I want to thank you guys for being here and for hanging out with me and just having this casual chit chat talking about monetization. If there are questions that you have that did not get asked or answered, feel free to leave them as a comment after the video posts. Let me know what you think. If you like this style of getting into the YouTube studio and talking about realistic earnings and different ways to monetize, I'd love to do more of these conversations. So with that, I will close it out. Appreciate you guys. Have a great rest of your week. Have a good weekend, and we'll talk to you next week. Have a good one.